Oh, hi there you, hope you're well. Today we are doing something fun. I brought you with me out into the forest and we are going to talk about photography. And specifically I want to talk about some photography basics. I'm going to share some tips with you if you are not a photographer but you are someone who share your creative work online. So maybe you're a blogger or you have an Instagram account or an Etsy shop or you show your creative work on a website. And to some degree, you're probably using photography to communicate your creative work, to show your creative work and share it with other people. And to just improve your photography a little bit, do some basic things to take better photos, to share your creativity, can go a really long way to just show it in a way that is more truthful, that is more you, and that also piques people's attention as well. So I started out when I was started my blog. I did not do photography. I had a camera, but that was about it. And I have just taught myself the basics of photography and improved my photography over the years. And it has become a really beautiful way for me to communicate my creativity, what I do as a creative coach with the world. And so, yeah, today we're going to go through a couple of basic tips that you can do to improve your photos. So let's get started with tip number one. The first tip I have for you is to pay attention to the light. And light makes up, I would say, 50% of the photo at least. So someone would describe this to me in a really great way, where everything that we see is how light is falling on something. If there were no light, we wouldn't see anything, it would be dark. And so everything we see is how light is falling on something and the colors that it reflects back into our eyes and into your camera as well. So everything we're taking photos of is light falling on something. And how that light is falling on something really determines how the photo is going to look. So today we have a very sunny day, and a sunny day, it's midday, a little bit afternoon. And the light is quite harsh, so I've taken us into the shadows. We have some dappled light here and we have a little bit of light coming in from behind me. And this creates a softer feel than if I would be in the harsh daylight. It creates a little bit of a more romantic feel. So you can really play around with what kind of light environment you're using to show what kind of style you want your photography to be in, what kind of feel you want your creative work to have. So start paying attention to the light when you're taking photos. I have a little prop with me here. I have a cup that I thought I would show you how things look in different lights as well. So if it's very, very sunny, if the light is coming from above, then you're going to have shorter shadows, so it's going to be a more contrast image that creates, it's a little bit harder to take those kind of photos. So if you're in that environment, it might be easier to move into the shadows and photograph things in the shadows. If you have light that is falling a little bit from an angle, it's later in the day or early in the day, or maybe you're in Sweden and it's winter and it's always never going up straight into the sky. Then you can play around with the angles. If you're photographing with the sun behind the object, then you are doing something that's called backlight that can create a bit of a more of a romantic feel. You can look at how things are looking if you're photographing straight on or from the side as well, just to see how things look. And that is the best way to learn photography as well. Pay attention to the light and look at how things are looking from different angles and play around with how the light is falling. And if you're taking photos inside, turn off all your lamps and use only natural light falling in through the windows. That is gonna make your photography much better very quickly. Sometimes it can be hard to take photos because it's dark, but using natural light really makes a huge difference. Second tip is to pay attention to your angles. And I have just switched my angle a little bit and see how everything looks different. The light is different and everything is just a little bit different. So we're already talked about angles in regards to how the light is falling, but there are other angles to also pay attention to that can really improve your photography quickly and easily. So One thing that is very common is that we don't have straight angles. So if you were photographing me, for example, pay attention to how you're holding your camera. Are you holding your camera at the level of the thing you're taking a photo of, me? And is your camera tilted? Is it tilted upwards so you're looking up at the thing, or tilted downwards so that you're looking down at the thing? Or is it straight on? You want to have it straight on. That is the easiest to make look good, and it's going to improve your photography really quickly. So you see the trees behind me, for example, they're straight, they're not weird and wonky due to the angle and tilting being a little bit off. Same goes if you're photographing something from above. It's easiest to make something look good if you're photographing straight from above and not slightly from like you're looking down at the thing, but straight from above. That's going to look better, especially on Instagram if you're taking photos for Instagram. Another thing with angles is that when we're not used to photography, we have a tendency to take photos as we are seeing things. And one thing that can make your photography look more professional is to use other angles than just our eye level angles. So for example, if you want to photo something that is low, crouching down and taking it from a low level can make a really great picture as well. Or if you are photographing something and you're not managing that straight angle because you're looking down it slightly, crouching down to its own level to take a photo from it straight can also really improve your photography. The third tip is to choose a subject for your photo. So what I mean by this is to be clear on what is the main character of your photo. What is the main thing you want to highlight in your photo? And if you're taking a photo of something like a cup, it might be easy. It's the cup that is the subject. But if you're taking a photo of, say, nature, or if you're taking a photo of a scene, maybe something on your desk and there are different things, try to make clear for yourself. So, okay, so what is it I'm primarily taking a photo of here? And arrange things so that it's clear that that is the subject. So, for example, if you are out, you're in a beautiful environment and you want to take a photo of that environment, try to find something to pick as your subject. If you're out in nature, for example, you can take a landscape photo where the landscape is the subject. But if you're in among the trees, like I am right now, if I just take a photo randomly out among the trees, it's going to be a little bit hodgepodged and messy and not be that interesting. But if I choose and say, okay, so this branch or this tree or something, this stone is going to be my subject, that is going to make for a clearer and more visually interesting photo as well. So pick a subject and think about all of the things, the light and all of the angles of those things in relation to your subject. My fourth tip is to pay attention to the composition of your photo. So the composition is how the thing you're taking a photo of is placed in relation to everything around it. So if you, for example, have your thing straight in the middle, that's one composition. If you have it a little bit off to the side, that's one composition. And if there is something behind it, say for example that I'm taking a photo of my hand, then okay, so the composition is, if you have the hand in the middle and I'm straight behind, that's one composition, you can't see me. If I'm a little bit to the side, then that's another composition. So look at your thing, your subject that you've chosen, that you're taking a photo of, and look at the things around it and how you can place it, if it's something you can place, or how you can move a little bit to have the background, the things around, look different. So there are lots of examples of composition tricks that you can use, but the basics I would say are straight in the middle of your photo or framed in some way, so that like if I, for example, hold up my hands, that is a frame around my head. And you could do that with like a tree that is hanging things down on the sides, everything that can be framed, a door frame, for example, or something called rule of thirds. So this is when you divide your photo up in straight lines and place the thing in one of the places where the lines cross. That makes for a balanced composition, essentially. So just start paying attention to how the thing you're placing relates to everything around it, and how you can change and experiment with that to see what looks best. My last tip is perhaps the most advanced one, but also the most fun and creative one in my opinion. So it is to tell stories in your photography. So if we again have the cup, if you're just taking a photo of the cup standing somewhere, you're just taking a photo of the cup, it's not that interesting. But if you take the cup and think, okay, so what can I do with this cup? What kind of story can this cup play a role in? So you can of course drink tea from a cup. So maybe you have tea in the cup and you have a teapot behind it, or maybe you have someone holding the cup or drinking tea from the cup, or maybe you have it together with a book, for example. Everything you're doing like that creates a story around your photo, and it makes the story more intriguing, more interesting, and more depth into the photo as well. So you can use this with everything. If you're taking a self-portrait of yourself, instead of just taking a photo, if you're standing somewhere or sitting somewhere, try making yourself do something, walking, holding something, touching something, or reading, or scribbling in a notebook, or doing whatever, not just doing nothing. That creates more, it makes it feel more natural, and it makes it more interesting. The sun is dropping towards the horizon here. It's now late afternoon, and here we have an example of some warm and nice backlight. And I have one last bonus tip for you, and it's to do some kind of photo editing with your photos. It makes a really big difference, and my photos would not be nearly as beautiful if I didn't edit them. So this can be done very casually. There are lots of different apps you can download on your phone. Even on my new phone, there is built into the gallery function some kind of photo editing, even some filters. You can use filters in your Instagram story and then download a photo to your phone to use on your Instagram grid, for example. And Adobe Lightroom has a free app for your phone as well. I do Adobe Lightroom editing on my computer. That is the more intensive way perhaps, but it's also really, really fun. So if you want to dip your toe in that, I can warmly recommend it. So those were the tips I wanted to share with you to improve your photography in your creative work. Photography has been a really fun part of my creative journey, of sharing my work online, creating content, and yeah, I hope the photography can be that for you as well. It's fun, it's creative, it's something that you can play around with and experiment with and just improve a little bit over time as well. That was everything for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a little like. Tell us in the comments, how do you use photography in your creative work? Is it something you want to do more of? Is there something you find tricky or fun? Tell us in the comments. And if you're new here, hello and welcome. You can subscribe down below for more of my videos about creativity, doing your creative projects, the creative process, and living a creative life. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.